Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's Wednesday, April 22nd. So we're like into 5 weeks of our online school. I hope you all are still doing well. And if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. It's been fun Google chatting some of you. And I love that you are emailing when you've decided about college stuff. So keep me posted. So today I wanted to do two things kind of quickly. Um, so I want to review just the format of the 2020 exam with you really quickly. And then I also want to finish up Unit 2, the statistics part of it. And then you'll have just a practice FRQ in AP Classroom. And to answer questions, AP Classroom, I'm really just, again, I want you to give it your all. Try to do as best you can. But for now, I'm still doing completion. And then you'll get the points. If it really doesn't look like you've tried it all, like you've just thrown words onto the page, I will email you. But if it looks good and you've tried hard on it, you're going to get the 10 points for the assignment. So don't worry about grades for me right now. I really just want you to review, and I want you to try to be doing something with AP Psych every day if you could. Print out that review guide that I have in there, and just kind of keep looking over and reviewing concepts, especially for units that you feel like you might not be as well versed on. That's just a really good way. Just pick up that packet, go through Unit 1 and make sure you know the theories, and go over the neurotransmitters in the bio unit or whatever it is, because it's FRQs and it's all concept based. So knowing those terms and how to apply them, you're going to be so good on the exam if you do that. Okay, so just quickly to review the 2020 exam, we know that the exam is going to be May 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's 2 FRQs, no multiple choice. It's going to be at your house, handwritten, and then you take a picture of it and upload it, or you can type it in a Google Doc, Word doc, and then you can upload that. And it's units 1 through 11 in our book. Okay. College Board refers to those 11 units as 7 because they've kind of smushed them into different units, but it's still, in our book, it's 1 through 11. And here's what I just learned at the webinar I took late last week. Again, the exam timing that you see up here, this is all stuff we've talked about. You'll have 25 minutes for the first FRQ. You'll have 15 minutes for the second FRQ. And then you each have 5 minutes to then upload it. So what they've told us though is you're going to have this timer on the computer, and it's going to start to go red when you're done, when you need to start to upload. Don't use those extra couple minutes to try to get more in there. You really need to use that 5 minutes to upload. Okay, 55% of the exam is going to be from question 1, which we know is concept based. And that just means right down here, it says, question 1 assesses students' ability to explain behavior and apply theories and perspectives in the authentic context. So you've been doing this all year. The same with the question 2, that's going to be 45% of the grade, and it's research methods based. Okay, and this is going to assess your ability to analyze psychological research studies, including analyzing and interpreting quantitative data, and which is fancy word for statistics. So those we kind of have known all about those for the last few weeks. Here's what I learned, and I highlighted this in yellow. This is basically, where did it go? Okay, so question 1 is similar to what you've always done. You got 25 minutes for your first FRQ, and it's all concepts based. Normally you have 7 tasks or 7 terms you have to define and apply, but for this exam you're going to actually have 8 in the first FRQ. So they're doing this to kind of deter kids from cheating, because you only have 25 minutes, you have 8 terms, you got to get to it. Even though it's open books, it doesn't mean it's easier. So they're really trying to deter kids from using the internet to do searches. They really want your work to be authentic and no cheating. You're not supposed to use phones during it. You cannot talk to other people while you're doing the exam. It really just has to be you and your work. bottom line. In fact, they've already found some kids that were planning on trying to cheat for the AP Physics, believe it or not. Not from like our area, but they found them, and they've contacted the schools they're going to, and they're, it's not good. So that's question one. Question two is going to be 15 minutes, and it's going to be a traditional research methods question. You have 15 minutes and 6 tasks to do. So a lot for the short amount of time. And it sounds like every webinar that I've been on, especially the latest one, they are thinking you're not going to finish this. So they keep telling us to reassure you all that you probably won't finish the FRQs, and that's okay. They're not going to penalize you for not finishing. You want to finish as much as you can, but it's going to be okay if you don't finish all the 14 tasks that they're asking you in that short amount of time. Let's see, they're going to give us more information on the 24th. And then the 27th, they're going to start to do some like practice with you on how to like upload, do it and then upload it. So there's going to be a lot of simulations, they're calling it, to practice uploading the documents and stuff. And you get to, you're going to get a ticket 48 hours in advance, and that allows you to join the test, and you're going to be in this like waiting classroom while you do that. During the exam, none of the FRQs will require you to draw a chart or a graph. That's good. You can keep the browser open, and it's going to have this like clock countdown, and it's recommended that you have a window to type your responses and another window open with the prompt and the countdown clock. And then you can copy and paste directly into the Google or Word into an online test system. Again, they're really encouraging us to prepare just like we prepared. We've been doing this all year. You guys are prepared. But I think it's just going to be a lot of the timing too. So the FRQs that I'm giving you in AP Classroom, I really would suggest you try to do those in 25 minutes and see, you have your notes, see how quickly you can get those finished. Keeping in mind our SOTA's FRQ stuff in there. Details about submission, kind of everything that I've just been telling you. They don't expect you to finish either question because the timing is a time crunch, and it's really to diminish the opportunity to cheat and the ability to look up everything. Okay, and I kind of put in here a little bit about the cheating. They found out somebody cheated, and they're saying to us, they keep stressing to us, they have layers and layers upon, ways that they can catch people that are cheating. So I don't think this pertains to any of you. Okay, here's the 7 units that are going to be on the exam. Keep in mind, these are R11, and I put it into this looks a little bit better. So this is how it kind of aligns with our textbook. So it's going to be units 1 and 2. They're considering that unit 1, biological basis of behavior, is unit 2. And they put unit 5 in there, even though it's a small unit. And then you can see all the way down, sensation and perceptions in there, learning, cognition, and then the testing that we just went over a few weeks ago. Developmental's in there, motivation and emotion, and personality is all in there as well. Okay. So that's just kind of a quick overview. I'd love to, if we want to like set up like a group chat, we could definitely do that, just to kind of maybe closer to the test date, just to go over those things again. And then I want to get into our review, the last part of Unit 2. And this is going to be the statistics. So again, this is all just a review of the unit. You can go back and look through, reading guides. You can go back and look through my original Prezi, or you can just look at that, the great packet that I have in Schoology under the AP exam review. That's going to give you kind of all of the key points in that unit 2. Okay, so the last piece of this is statistics. And basically statistics, it's just data exploration techniques where you take these large amounts of data and you turn it into information that tells you all about your research and your studies that you did. So there are methods designed to help us make sense out of large data. So like if you gave a survey to the entire MC population, it's going to take a long time to go through 450, you know, survey questions, but this statistics helps you turn that large amount of data and then it gives you good information from that. Okay, so it allows you to find out if your data has a significant relationship, and possibly then tells you if you should do an experiment from there. Statistics are tools that help you make sense of your research, and it's a common language between research studies. Okay, so it's really important. There's two types of statistics, inferential statistics and then descriptive statistics. So we'll try to go through these. So inferential statistics, it basically allows you to, you get to infer data. So it's knowledge that can be inferred from a small sample then to a large population. And we talked a little bit about this last week where with like random sampling, it takes, the big population and you want to get a small sample from that. Well, here with inferential statistics, we're taking that small sample and now we're saying, can we take this and like generalize in the large population? Okay, so with inferential statistics, it's taking those results from the small sample and applying it back to the larger population. Oop, did I miss? Got it. Okay, so inferential statistics, this, it's like, how sure are we? Are we 100% sure? Are we 95% sure? Are we 90% sure? When you buy a car, do you want to make sure that it's 90% safe or do you really want it to be 100% safe? So inferential statistics is all about the statistical significance and it gives you this p-value. You never have to figure out the p-value in the test. Like you won't need a calculator or anything to take that, but just knowing what p-value represents, and that represents the chance that your data, your research occurred because of chance or error or confounding variables. So if the p-value is less than 0.05, then there's a 95% chance that the study's results are not due to randomness, bias, or confounding variables. Okay, so it's statistically significant. Okay, so in the psych world, it's generally like you want to have that anything 0.05, so that 95% chance, then it's statistically significant. Okay, so the smaller the p-value, the more significant the results. If the p-value was 0.01, it means that there's only 1% chance that the results were due to chance or error. Okay, there can never be a 0 in p-value because nothing can be proven 100%. And the p-value is the opposite of statistical significance. So as p-value goes down, so like that 0.01, then your significance goes up. So it would be 99% significant. Okay, and a p-value of a 0.05 is definitely standard for psychological research as statistically significant. So that's really important in terms of psychological research. Okay, and then the other thing with inferential significance is you have this null hypothesis. And basically what this is, it just is your hypothesis. It predicts that there will not be a significant relationship. So null, there won't be a significant relationship. So it basically means that you can apply your statistical research from your small group to the larger population. Scientists are skeptical people and they assume nothing unless they see some numbers and some stats. Okay, so the goal of the research then is to disprove the null hypothesis, which in inferential statistics predicts the results cannot be applied to the larger population. Okay. All right, and then descriptive statistics, those describe the population or the sample that's being studied. And you probably, and we've done this before, and you probably have done this in math classes, but there's those three types of central tendencies. The mean, which is the average of the scores summed up and then divided by how many you have. And then median, that's the scores in the exact middle of the whole set of your group. And then the mode is the most frequently occurring score. And the median and mode are relatively unaffected by the presence of few extreme outlier scores. But one extreme score can throw off the mean. Think about like your grades. So if you've gotten pretty stable scores in my class, but then you have like, you know, a 5% on an exam, that's going to really throw off your grade in the class, right? So the mean is affected by those extreme scores, but the median and the mode, they are not affected by that. Okay, and then a couple graphs here. So don't forget skewed data. That's where an outlier is disproportionately affecting the mean. And remember, you know, the negative skew looks like this. So the tail is over here for the negative, and then positive, you know, that's where the skew is few. Remember our little mnemonic from that. So positive would be a lot of the scores are up here. Negative, they would be over here like that. Okay, so make sure you look over that again. And then there's a couple graphic representations that you have to kind of just be familiar with. You're not going to have to do a graph on there, but you have to understand how to read a graph possibly. So this is also known as the frequency distribution. So like if we were doing a survey on how many kids were absent during the month of January, the X would represent the number of days absent. The Y would, you know, be the number of, you know, kids that were absent. So you could see in January, 3 kids were absent, no times. You know, 1 absence, there were 6 kids. And then it's just a quick reference, frequency distribution. And then you could take that information and then put it in a graph or a bar graph or something like that. Just a quick, easy way to see what your stats are right there. And then the bar graph versus a histogram, this is important to know. So bar graphs show categorical data, such as things that fall into categories. So there's no numbers attached. Columns don't touch, you can see that here, and they're nominal categories, so they're like name only. So you would maybe, if we were doing a study on high school students, you could see, you know, one line might be freshmen, one line might be sophomores, one line might be juniors, and then a senior. And none of those, in a bar graph, none of them would be touching because it's different information and it's a nominal group, so name only. You could do it for, you know, ice cream flavors, vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate, whatever it is. It's name only, not numbers in that. Okay, and then histograms. These are where you could put your numbers down here. So if we were like graphing like, you know, test scores or something from an AP test, we would have, you know, numerical data down here, and that way those bars can touch here with histograms. So it's a range of scores, columns touch. It's ordinal data, which basically just means it's put in order. So you could do this with like height, you could do it with weight, you could do it with GPA, and always keep in mind that x-axis is the independent variable if we were doing it for a research study, and then the dependent variable would be the y-axis, which is here. Okay. The dispersion of scores, that's like the measures of variability, how far the scores differ from the mean. Low variability scores are closer together. High variability scores are more spread out. Don't forget the range. If you ever saw like what's the range of the scores, it's just the highest versus minus the lowest, and that's the range of scores. So this is like that bell curve that we talked about a little bit in the intelligence unit as well. So this is IQ scores. So we have a perfect bell curve here, 100 being the mean of IQ scores. So scores don't necessarily always line up on the mean. They fall into a pattern, and then we call that standard deviation. So standard deviation is the average distance from the mean. Okay, so you're going to see a lot of times questions where it's like, what's the percentage of one standard deviation away from the mean? So that would be 68% because you would add those 34% up. Okay, and then these would be 2 standard deviations from the mean. You just add up all these lines, and then 3 standard deviations away from the mean. Okay, and it all just describes the data that you have from your study. Another thing that they might ask is a set of scores with a small range, meaning that they're not very spread out, will have a small standard deviation. And those are sometimes called z-scores. Again, you never have to figure out what the z-score is, like mathematically, but just knowing that z-scores are associated with standard deviation is important. And it's useful because it helps researchers compare scores from different studies using the standard deviation or using the different standard deviations. They can look at each study and see, how far they differed from the mean, and that's going to be relevant to them. Okay. I think that is it. Yay. Okay. So today you have an FRQ in AP Classroom. Some of the terms you'll see it's not just Unit 2, but give it a go. We've went over everything that is on those FRQs, in the year that we've had together. So just, use your best judgment with questions. And again, it's completion versus accuracy. I want to see that you're trying and doing your best. Use your SOTAs. And then tomorrow, Thursday, we are going to start in the bio unit. Okay, so email me if you have questions, and I hope you all are doing well. I miss you so, so much. Okay, see ya.